here we've got Raisy going versus Xron. Big thanks to Lure as well for the 11 months, man. Thanks so much. Almost 1 year pog. Damn straight, man. Thanks so much for the loyalty. I really appreciate it. But let's move in there. These guys are saying this is like the first game ever, so on Raisy's broadcast, it literally starts right from 00000, and he starts the stream pretty much as his match is about to start.
Balls out.
Yo, Pang Artist, thanks so much for the 4 months, buddy. Really, really appreciate it. One thing that kind of, I'll say, it even frustrated me a little bit. It didn't frustrate me at this point of the tournament, but by the time we got into day 2 and Raisy was near the top, or frequently at the top, I was like, dude, there's like so many people watching, a lot of streamers, and obviously like Tox, Rafa, Cooler, Kilson, you know, the usual suspects getting loads of viewers. I was like, Raisy was sitting on like 150 viewers. And I was like, dude, this guy deserves at least 500 viewers, like, for his stream. I saw it go up later on, but Raisy is so unbelievably talented that I feel like he should get some more props. This is the first game ever. The first ever. So, it looks like we're on... Actually, can I look at the... No, I'll back up later. We got map 1. I've even done little best of 3 score stuff up at the top that we can enjoy. But this is a clutch game. And clutch was picked a few times throughout by Raisy. I feel like this is a very risky map to play clutch on. But he goes like he's probably the player in the world most confident in his clutch ability. I don't even think Wenger would select clutch in these instances. But Raisy is Raisy, and he'll do what Raisy does. He's also turned off the damage indicators because apparently that disrupts his LGing because all those 7s appear and he can't see his opponent clearly enough, so that's why he's actually turned off his damage indicators. But we saw him get 2 kind of nice rails in the early portions of this. And ooh, look at that rocket, oh my god. So I think it's really brave to go for the rocket launcher there. I'm surprised he hasn't used his shield. He still like, it's crazy to not use a shield so soon, but he does it there where he knows he's got a clean route over to him, doesn't want to take any extra damage, and it's easy now for him to continue that control. And anyways, as Raisy's camper and boring, I think, is fully brain dead just watching chat. This guy does what he needs to win, and the amount of times that we saw people doing what they need to win, and it involves slow play, staying that 1 frag ahead. You just, if you think someone's camping boring, you just don't understand what it takes to win in Quake. There are so many different techniques that you need to be able to demonstrate, and Raisy being able to showcase pretty much everything needed to win and still secure 4th place in the global rankings, I mean, I think it shows a huge lack of understanding about the game. But he kind of put himself a little bit deep down there. Xron was hitting a nice sort of vertical shots, which is usually quite difficult, but not so hard against that clutch. However, Raisy decides to inject a bit of chaos. Xron, I feel like he could have just gone upper. I don't really know why he rushed down so soon. Again, this is like the first match, official match these guys are playing in the tournament. So there's very much a sort of sense of, you know, build that feeling. And Raisy, he just missed his jump across, which wasted probably 3 seconds of his shield. And he's fighting for a long time here, calculating it barely to have enough HP to escape. But this is a really, really difficult position to be in. Your shield's been used recently. And Xron's going to know that he got him weak and going to try and find a way to attack soon. Problem is, it's very difficult to chase a clutch. So Raisy should be able to hold himself alive here. I think this is actually one of the games I may have seen before, but I genuinely don't know what really happens. And, you know, I would say this is like a spoiler-free stream, but it isn't. There's obviously going to be spoilers. We all know that Kilson won the event overall. Xron does actually eventually lock him down. He got this drop down, which I think surprised Raisy a lot. It's like he didn't hear or understand that Xron was dropping down from the pillars. So as soon as he saw him from the side, it looks like he just got caught entirely off guard. You can almost see that from his facial expressions. If anyone actually really knows Raisy or has seen his games, they'll think of him as actually a very aggressive player most of the time. But what's the point of being aggressive and gaining a lead if you can't hold on to it, right? What is the point? Someone please explain that to me. If you can't hold your lead, then guess what? Your aggressive plays just aren't good enough. Again, caught out. Didn't realize that Xron was below. Very nice LG. Raisy missed the defensive rocket, which would be nice to neutralize some of the stack. So Xron's really not a bad spot at the moment. However, in 5 seconds, we have got the shield back up, which is going to allow Raisy to be a little bit more flexible. 1 second to go. And now Raisy with the lightning gun. He doesn't have the rail, but he doesn't really need it if he's looking to get in a close range fight. Trying to see where he can hear. I'm trying to like pinpoint as well on my own headphones where he's going to be. And I think he wanted to jump across right there. Very late shield usage. Again, feels like warm-up from Raisy. So a bit of an error to stay in that fight in mid without either using the shield earlier or just leaving the fight to begin with. But he gets onto rocket. There is an orb. Raisy's pretty good with the rocket on this occasion, and Xron just dives straight in, maybe thinking that he had a clear advantage since the shield had been used lately. And another instance where Xron probably shouldn't have been hanging around there. We know that Raisy is more than happy to be aggressive up a jump pad. Notice, Showtime, that Raisy being aggressive up a jump pad, not camping. Oh yeah, there are some fascinating stats. You guys in chat bring up a good point. There's someone made some amazing stats, which I'd also like to take some time to go through at some point. Again, aggressive up the jump pad. He has the... Did he even use the shield there? Wait, I don't even know if he used the shield there. I don't think he did because he still had the timing left for a while. But again, another aggressive play. Raisy finds himself in the lead. We're 6 minutes into the game. That rail does connect there. And he's moving across again, knowing that Xron is low. He's taking full advantage of the situation that he's opened up. This is another important thing that a lot of people struggle at, is closing frags. Raisy has trust in his aim. He knows his stack. He knows exactly what Xron's stack is. And so he moves in and ensures that he can finish the frag, which of course with clutch movement is not too difficult to get close to your opponent. He uses the shield. Xron, again, he's being very aggressive moving into upper banana. Whereas I feel like he needs to just... like, if he got the rail, he could kind of back away again. He would have had rockets, so he can rocket jump the hell out of there. But diving into close range combat against the clutch is not ideal. You need to try and force a long range game against clutch where you know you can have an advantage. So there's the rail. Raisy doesn't have shield at all, but that rail damage is the signal to him that he can move in for the fight. And considering the angle there for Raisy, he doesn't do a terrible job at all with his LG. Thanks very much for the 6 months, Morty. Really, really appreciate it. Hope you're well. Is that Yen saying Raisy had a 92% win rate with clutch? Yeah, that's insane, by the way. I would challenge any other pro to get a win rate even close to that. The fact that Raisy got 92% win rate on clutch is ridiculous, by the way. Truly astonishing. Oh, it's going to close. It's a fine line right there. He manages to stack pretty well. I think he missed a couple of the shots while Xron was on the lower ground. And Xron at this stage is kind of just desperately chasing the frags. There's over 2 minutes to go, but Xron knows he needs to get something on the board again soon so that he can build any kind of momentum. So this is where the score can probably go either closer towards Xron or sharply in favor of Raisy if Raisy is happy to engage in combat. Raisy looks like he's chilling out a little bit, not wanting Xron to close the gap at the moment. There is the heavy. He grabs it. He's got overstack. And now he's just backed away again. Like, this is the point in the tournament where... I mean, at all the points in the tournament, you want to be able to protect your lead. It's also important to note that frag differences and frag count matters a lot, because if there's any tiebreakers, eventually, I think there's a number of different things that you have to go through first, but eventually frag count is something that needs to be taken note of. Hi guys who are tuning in as well. Good to see you all. So this is very much just protect the lead at any cost. Again, if Xron, like that combo right there hurts a lot. And I think that's what Raisy was initially looking out for. He knows you can get that huge burst. He's even delaying his spawn a little bit because there is a 4 frag differential. But Xron had the perfect combination. The thing is, it's come like a minute too late to really have a chance of making the comeback. So Raisy should still be running away at this stage. Protect that 4 frag difference. He's got himself a couple of weapons so he can protect it if needed, and at least force some damage onto Xron, so that even if he does get the next frag, then it's going to be difficult for him to secure one after. So he's just jumping those teleporters, and this is what you do. Very, very solid by Raisy. He has got the shield. He's going to pop it now. That's going to take an extra few moments for Xron to pick up the kill. Now there's just over 10 seconds left, and you can see Raisy's just enjoying the fact that there's very little time remaining. So that is it. That's going to be GG right there. That was the first official map that these guys played in the entire tournament. Does a general schedule calendar for 2019 tournaments exist? Yeah, it is. In their initial announcement, we've got like basically a full schedule for the entire year. I think if I do this, then when we go back there, we should see a 1 map advantage. So I'm hoping that if he goes up on the chat, then we can kind of see. He seems to remember what's being picked. Because, by the way, every day of play that these guys had, the night before, they would pick all maps and champions for the upcoming day of games. So for the Thursday games, they picked everything on Wednesday evening. For Friday games, they picked everything on Thursday evening. For Saturday games, they picked everything on Friday evening. And for the people in the prize matches and championship match on Sunday, they picked everything Saturday evening. I think that the Nightbot's still getting a little confused at the fact that okay, they don't have any information there that I wanted to use. And I'm just keeping an eye on the frag score because it's useful for the admins. Don't ban Nightbot. Okay, censored. Anyway, we move into the next map in a second. We go over to Blood Run. Trying to think of the map picks this would be, the person's map pick that this would be. I'd imagine this would be Xron's map pick. And I do love the fact that we're finally having map. So the map picking procedure is ban, pick. I feel like we should have done this kind of system ages and ages and ages ago. Ban, pick is the way that it should be for the rest of time. What was Xron's ban for this game? Solar maybe? I don't actually know what his ban would be. That's like, I wish I could move with that information. And that's one thing, that this kind of information I think should be more available for everybody. Yeah, what's up, Boob? That's right, it did all change. It's all new. Anyway, we had the Mega Spawn for Raisy. It is Galena versus Eisen, which is a pretty even matchup, I'd say. Galena, though, can obviously get really powerful if those 3 totems can come out. That rocket, by the way, was disgustingly good. So this should give Raisy Mega and Light. But it looks like he wants to protect the Heavy. And that's a nice rocket jump. People usually take a different angle to pick up the armor. And though the lights are still available, Xron should be able to get himself to 100-100 quite comfortably. So it's a minor stack advantage, but a pretty major positional advantage, I'd say, for Raisy. Everything's quiet, so he's kind of isolating where he thinks that Xron would be, and he just heard that he's up at the nail gun spawn. Xron does move down towards Mega. It's like one of the only routes that you can have a real presence on the map to try and take it, or hope that you land a lucky shot or two and can challenge for the item. But now Raisy really does develop a proper stack. This is something now that becomes increasingly more hard for Xron to deal with. He's hiding a little totem around. Totem game is still pretty slow from Raisy, but it doesn't really matter how long it takes at this stage when he's got such a good health and armor stack. And he's even taking away hourglasses, so very much a formality. Checking above before he goes to the item so he doesn't receive random damage. And he does hit a rail. He's ignoring the fact that the turret's on the tele exit beforehand because he just wanted to make sure that Xron was going to get away from the heavy armor spawn. And then he does damage. A full tri-bolt bunch is going to be enough to get the kill. He can even move in a little bit, but that one defensive rocket was probably enough to tell him to get the hell away. Now this fight might be difficult because Xron does have a way in. He's got a turret available too. And the turret, it actually even secures the mutual frag. But Raisy, I think, was kind of risky moving through into secret after the first defensive rocket. He needs to be really careful moving across because he is railable. Yeah, because he knows then that Xron's got out and he can just go past tri-bolt, drop down and get to the Mega health. So the fact that he even challenged Mega afterwards, I think was pretty risky in itself. Getting the mutual frag is okay, but if he didn't do the second push into secret, he probably would have held control. So a slight overcommitment from Raisy. And now rebuilding his stack. It should be Xron on a stack advantage. That was a nice little dodge of that first rail. Now he's got to get out a little bit. 42 health. He's still going to go for it. He might pay with his life. I'm really surprised he doesn't use the totem. But I think he values having the totem in a positional that's more optimal than what it has been. And I'm surprised he actually didn't put that second totem where his first one is. Because you can usually hold those totems for like 2-3 minutes before your opponent's really going to check. Because it takes a minute or two for you to realize as an opponent of Galena, like, oh god, I really need to be checking where those totems are. And by that point, you know, you maybe have got a round of pocket Mega. That was a nice rocket jump across from Xron. Sorry, from Raisy. He does a lot of damage leading towards the bounce pad, so he feels happy moving up it afterwards. Now he really wants to get this overstack while it's available. There's also one on the tally exit, so he can get himself to 175. But he wants to attack the Mega health, which is just a little late for. And at that stage, it probably would have been better to just go and get that Mega stack, as he is once again super weak. That's that's a bit of a mistake from Xron. He should be realizing that if he hasn't been taking down a totem for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and he hasn't seen that teleporter exit position, that you need to approach with serious caution. But it's like a sort of brain game at the same time, because at this level you don't always expect people to use the teleporter exit totem. You expect people to put them elsewhere because it's like the most obvious place to put it. So it's like slight mind games in some sense. Yo. Speaking of which, Xronia has just given me a massive host, so I want to give a shout out to him. Thanks very much. Dima. I'm starting reviewing some of your games, but I'm going through days 1 to begin with. If he's even there. You love it when a plan is so smart, it's dumb. But it is smart. Yeah, I mean, I think the most obvious things, say in like ranked play or practice play or wherever, they then become less obvious in professional match because you don't expect someone to do something that obvious. So I don't think it's stupid really if Xron to get killed by that totem. I just think it's so easy to overlook. And a big shout out for the YouTube VOD to Tailwhipper with 69 months subscribed. Thanks so much, you legend. I appreciate you, Tailwhipper. Pog. So now you can see that Raisy is chilling out a little bit. He's going versus a champion that's as basically mobile as him. So now being able to play the defensive game. We saw this type of game being played. Oh god, we had a server like. You can see Raisy is like... What? He might even type in a second, I can't remember. But it takes him like 5-10 seconds there to really recover control of his mouse and keyboard. But this is absolutely like a legit strat now. You've got a frag advantage. It's a lot harder than some of the stuff we ended up seeing with like Nosfervenga when it was Scalebearer versus Keel, because there's a big mobility advantage for Scalebearer versus Keel. Now that there's no disadvantage, it's very much down to movement, skill, and ability. But Xron Xron I think is being a little more aggressive there because he knows he has to do so and ends up giving away the mega health. That was really nice LG. Nice little blast. He needs to really get rid of that turret. Get that 100 health. Some blocking power if needed, but the block doesn't work. And now he's in a little bit of a nasty position. He really wants to not get railed. And this is back to the safety. I think there's going to be the light armor up in a moment. Yeah, there we go. But he can't even take it. Because Xron's in there. I think he's just denied it too. And that's really about just keeping the stack going. He does probably over 100 damage in that small combo there. That LG though is super, super tasty. And I love the position that he holds. He knows he's not railable. He knows he can't die to a rocket immediately. So he just waits for Xron to make the almost inevitable push in order to increase his control and get their heavy armor. And just land some super sick LG. So it's a defensive position, but he bites at exactly the right time. There we go, Sinker in chat. What's up, man? Great seeing you last week. And Rodan, thanks so much for the 12 months as well. Again, we can see now Raisy taking a defensive spot. He's got a totem, which is going to be nice if Xron decides to push in combat. But really, it's all about nursing this lead. You don't want to make any aggressive plays. You're not trying to push Xron out of control. You're just trying to make sure that his control is as limited as possible. And if that means making him push through corridors where he's likely to take damage, you're less concerned about picking up a major item, and you're only going to do it if Xron is overcommitting to a chase and leaving an item up where you're not going to take damage for taking it, or at least you're going to get a net bonus from having taken the item, even if you take damage while taking it. But it's got to be like 100%. You're not going to leave it up to like a guess. And again, for anyone who thinks, oh, this is camping boring, this is just how you play Blood Run. If you give up the first frag on this map, you're at a bigger disadvantage than you would be, say, giving up a frag, the first frag in any other map. And he's going to jump through. Nothing special with movement at all. He's just waiting for those little moments where he can land a good rocket that's going to slowly whittle Xron stack down and make him forced to go back over to the items. Because that is going to deduct like 10 seconds from the time limit. And with only 30 seconds left, see a little bit of LG. It slows down Xron's movement. Towards this point, even with spawn delay, you're barely going to have a chance. That's a really good move actually from Xron. I don't think he heard him going there. But there's a little totem blockage. And that's basically GG right there. And so that means Raisy picks up the 2-0. You win. And he's going to win his first match. And I think this is actually a more notable victory than people might give Raisy credit for. Because Xron is the type of player who matches up really, really well versus Raisy. I'd say overall in rankings, Xron is slightly weaker. And we could see in the end results, Raisy 4th, Xron 5th in global rankings. But I think that, like, more often than not, Xron would take down Raisy, even if Raisy is slightly better as a player in general. So, it's a good job from Raisy to, like, keep calm in this and get a solid victory. Right.